All right, welcome back for week 2, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you looked through the site a little bit and are hyped to start making a little more realistic. All right, so I know we got this for our site. It's just a navigation bar, but hey, you got a URL. You got it all pushed to GitHub, hopefully. Once again, if you didn't, feel free to leave something in the comments. Let me know what went wrong. But anyways, we've got this site. If we look at the code, it should look something like this. Side note, I have heard some people aren't getting linter warnings, so we'll go over how to set up linter warnings, which are these little yellow dots, or red if it's a real error. There you go. But we'll go over that in another tutorial. For now, you can get all the linter warnings if you do yarn start like we've been doing, or npm start. And for example, you can see this logo is defined but never used. Same linter warning right here. So if you see those, try to clear those up. All right. Anyways, let's get on to what we're going to do today. So you can see all this code right here turns into this little nav bar. Something we want to keep mind of, though, in React is called decoupling, or basically making your components reusable. So we have one file right here, app.js, and this runs everything we see here. Now if we want to create things at the moment, we just put them into app.js and they'll pop up over here. But what if we want tons of blog posts? What if we want different pages for store or testimonials? What if we want pictures? If we put every single thing into this app.js file, it's going to get huge and it's going to get big fast. So we need to break this up into easier to manage components. And that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to break this header component that we have right here into its own file and then import that header inside of here. So it'll look the same, but it'll be a lot cleaner, easier to use, and when we start making more and more pages, you can just pull that header into whichever page file you're using. All right, so let's get started by making a new folder inside this source folder. We'll just call this components. And inside that components, like I said, we're going to try to make ourselves a header file. Let's call that header.js. All right, so header.js. This is where we're going to keep all of our code that makes up this header over here. Quickest way to do that right now, we'll just copy over that app.js and then get rid of the stuff we don't want to use. All right, so let's take a look at what we have imported and being used right now. Everything in here, this app bar, toolbar, typography, we're going to need to keep. But besides that, we don't need this container anymore. We'll get rid of that. And we can get rid of everything inside the container here. We also won't need to keep it in a div, so we can get rid of that div opening and closing tag. And as always, we want to make sure our styling is consistent and clean, so we're going to indent that over. Quick tip, if you're using Atom on Mac, you can do command and then a square bracket to de-indent your lines. So right now we have this file. We're also not using the app.css, we'll get rid of that. But we have this file, header.js, and this is keeping our header. Right now it's called app, so we need to change those. And we'll make that header. Export header. Nice. So this is basically everything that we've had so far. And we want to import this back into the app and switch it out right here. So let's see. Make sure to comment where you're importing things and what they do. So we'll call this, let's see, imports for main components. And underneath here, we're going to go ahead and import that header file we just created. So import header from, and remember when we talked about paths, it's inside this same source folder. So we'll do /, and then it's inside of another folder called components. and then the file name is header. Close that off. And now we can get rid of this app bar, toolbar, typography, and switch that up with a header. Make sure to close that tag too, like that. And let's see what we got. Nice, so it's compiling and looks the exact same. It's everything we wanted. Keep in mind these linter warnings again, so we're not actually using typography, toolbar, or app bar anymore, since those are all getting imported directly into the header. Get rid of that, save again, and everything's running, looking clean. Alright, so we got our header, we got our app, but it still looks the same, it still looks pretty boring. So let's go ahead and make some components that we can keep reusing to display a list of post titles, little previews of whatever you want to put. Maybe it's blog posts or shop items, but we'll make a component that'll store a list of all of these and then make the component that is an individual item right now. Alright, so let's go back into this components, make a new file, and we'll call this postlist.js. So here's a good time to go back to that material UI and take a look at some of the components that we're going to want to put in from material UI to build out this post list. And the one we're going to navigate to is a grid. So let's see. Up on this material UI site, you can see all these different grid descriptions that have some interesting interactive little snippets of code that you can use to look at how you want your grid to be laid out. And we're actually going to need something called a grid component and a grid list. So when you look at this grid list, basically it's just a list that stores all these different items that we're going to eventually replace with individual grid items. You can check this out. You can dive right into the source code, and we'll pull out a couple of these that we're going to use later. Alright, go ahead, copy, paste, put those into the new post list. We'll go over make styles, use styles a little bit after when we start talking about how we style our own website. But for now we can leave these. One more important thing to note, you can see in here, this is commented out, but this is a pretty basic description of how you need to pass data into something like a post list. But once again, we'll go over that a little bit later. Alright, so this will be our new function, post list. And inside of here, we're going to go ahead and style this to make it look like a list of different items with maybe a picture, maybe a description, maybe a title, a couple different things that we'll use. But before we get to that, let's make sure we have a file for an individual post item as well. Alright, so we got post list, post item, header. Let's go ahead and just hop back into that material UI and look at some different cards. And cards are what we're going to use to store each of these post items. Don't worry, for now we're going to customize all these cards, but let's just get a good looking starter card like this thing. It's got a nice little drop down, some interactions, nice. So let's pull in the source code again, copy and paste that all into our post item, give it a save that post list, and then let's look at how we're going to pull in these post items, post lists inside our actual app. So let's start out, import just a single post item, just like we did with the header, it's inside that components folder. So we'll pull in ./components/host item. See the linter warning since we're not actually using it. And let's fix that quick by turning this container we have into just a post item. You can get rid of the hello world inside, give it a save, and let's see where it goes from there. Nice. There we go. It's all compiled, and in here, now we've got our own little blog post item. So we'll end it there for now, but don't worry, next time we're going to go into a little bit how to style this. There's still some problems. You can see the image isn't popping up. The nav bar is on top of it. But all of these things are going to get fixed over the course of this week when we go into styling. So get ready.